Good afternoon from Yosemite Radio, KNHA-FM from Coulterville, California, the gold rush town where John Muir and Teddy Roosevelt dreamed up America's national park best idea. It's 77 degrees on this November Sunday afternoon with an expected high of 79, with abundant sunshine according to Weather Underground. Winds are light and variable with a low of 53 expected overnight. We may have a little rain rolling in on Thursday and Friday. Always welcome to hold the fires at bay. We have a special guest treat for you today. Best-selling author, Vietnam vet, and founder of Operation New Earth nonprofit has agreed to sit down for an interview in the new radio station studio out back in the Gazzolo building on Main Street, which was a dance hall and saloon back in the 1800s when John Muir first showed up here on the way to Yosemite Valley. But first, a little music to start off the day with a song. You may remember this one from the Vietnam era, Favorite Son by John Fogerty with Creedence Clearwater Revival. Well, hey Jim, welcome to the studio.
Hey, glad to be here.
The new studio. So you said the Favorite Son was your favorite song from the Vietnam era. What does that evoke for you? What do you think? What do you like about that?
Well, when I first arrived in Vietnam, the first thing I noticed was there's a lot of poor white guys there, a lot of people of color. I didn't see anybody who apparently came from money. Didn't see any politicians' kids. After the war, I was fortunate to meet Oliver Stone, the film producer. He actually had privilege and a deferment, and he didn't have to go. But he said, it's not right for me to stay here and all my peers go, so he actually volunteered. And for those that don't know it, Platoon is his personal story while he was in Vietnam. And after the war, he funneled a lot of money into the Da Nang area, and he established what is called Mother's Love Clinic, which produced artificial limbs for the Vietnamese who lost arms or legs during the war, and provided much needed medical services for people in rural areas. And although I don't know Oliver Stone very well, the times I was with him, he impressed me as a very genuine, upstanding, upright guy somebody that you would be happy to call your friend?
Cool. So really what I want to talk to you about today is, of course, I recently read one of your stories on the web about, it explains about your book and the bestseller that you had in Vietnam and your experience there. We can talk about that some, but today I want to get we really need to do the backstory on how you came up with the idea for the Operation New Earth nonprofit, and also the idea to do a radio station here. And how you came up with the call letters. I've heard you tell that story before, but I want you to tell it here today for us so we can record it and have it on the websites for everybody else to hear that hasn't heard it before. So start off with that, and I'll do some follow-ups.
Yeah, well, the main thing, let's start with the call letters, because when we first arrived here, everybody wanted this call sign or that call sign, and my favorite was Chaos, K-A-O-S. So what happened was, you have to get those from the FCC. So I made a list. It was about 36 call signs that people wanted. And so after I had put them down, I said, obviously one of these was going to work out. So I went to the FCC website and I started to go through them one by one, and every single one of them was taken. And I said, geez, I might have ideas. What do I do? So then I said, well, let's do military acronyms. And so, of course, what I was looking for was like something like LZ, for landing zone something. All those were taken. And I spent between a half hour and an hour looking for popular military acronyms and just couldn't come up with anything that was available. So then a thought hit me. Well, what's not popular? So I punched that up. And when this thing came up, I looked at it and I said, that is what I have been looking for. KNHA, killed by non-hostile action. And the reason I say that is because I was actually in Pleiku Air Base when we were shelled by friendly fire. Unfortunately, across the street from here, we have a VFW of the first person killed in this remote area in the War on Terror was killed by friendly fire. But the other thing which really interested me about KNHA is if you survived the military and came home and needed help, our first realization is you ain't going to find any. So while you're in uniform and carrying a gun, you are a very valuable commodity. But once you're out of that uniform, it seems to me like they treat you as if, hey, why are we paying you this money? Why do you deserve this? And I've actually heard this, is, well, you're looking for welfare. And no, we're not. The thing is, we were just looking for what we were promised. So, as you know, we have a problem with veteran suicides, about 22 a day now, and nobody's really significantly addressing that. So, KNHA, killed by non-hostile action. I said, we want to put a radio station on that's going to talk about mental health and well-being and medical health and healthy lifestyles, and we're going to be promoting all this good stuff. Well, the thing about the Raven, many people associate that with Edgar Allan Poe. And yeah, that's kind of, if you have that mindset. So let's explore that for a minute, although that's not what I had in mind. And so I want listeners to understand this is not my assumption. I verified a lot of this through something called the Institute on Environmental and Research and Education. And they point out what I've always known and have been taught in school, that Poe's Raven symbolizes individual grief and collective human suffering. That was evident from his poem, but it goes much more than that. We had a covert operation in Vietnam, which few people know about. Was called the Ravens. They highly recruited from the air base I was at. And what happened was that you would surrender your uniform. You would no longer be part of the military, technically. So if you were killed or captured, you were basically considered a mercenary. But what's more damning is after the war, when all this crap was over, nobody negotiated for their release. They were just persona non grata. So the Ravens had the big Edgar Allan Poe looking raven as their patch or on their patch. And it means something a little different. So let's go back to the research I did. The ravens perch on the bust of Athena who's the goddess of wisdom, mocks reason and knowledge. It runs counterintuitive to that. So what does that mean? So that means you have to think on the quantum scale, which opens up another whole field, which a lot of us aren't used to doing. So once you do that, you begin to realize that the ravens for the Black Ops operation meant never, ever again, or at no point in time in the future do we want to do this. So that's kind of like anti-war, but most of the guys I met who were Raven, they were doing it out of necessity and out of patriotism and out of a sense of, hey, let's end this now and it will never, ever happen again. Unfortunately, I think they were kind of like wrong, because two documents came out later. One was on Site 85, which is also in Laos. The Ravens, by the way, were in Laos as well, but not at Site 85. Site 85 happened between 10 and 11 March in 1968. It was a listing post sponsored by the Air Force, and again, everybody there were, quote, mercenaries, unquote. It was on top of a high plateau or hill or mountain, and it was deemed by military intelligence, which is, of course, an oxymoron, that place could never successfully be assaulted until it was by paragliders who landed at night and overran and overtook the base, captured or killed everybody there. And at that point in time, when the Air Force realized nobody was going to survive or nobody was going to live, that whole thing was written off until after the war. Those guys that were captured, never bargained for, never spoke of. Then something came out in 1990 called the Helms Senate Report, which had all this good stuff in it. And I thought, well, certainly now America and America's veteran service organizations will get behind this report, which came out of the Congress and the Senate, and we will certainly do something about getting those live guys back, which they have documented in their own document were still alive at that time. Didn't happen. As a matter of fact, people like Colonel James Bo Greitz and other people who I followed very closely were actually ridiculed and tried and discredited by the government for being involved in this. So it became unpatriotic to look for a living POW, but patriotic to look for dead POW. And I never really quite understood that. So that's kind of the story behind this. And the thing is, KNHA, in my mind, honors all those people we just left hanging who were somewhere overseas, and the tens of thousands of veterans in this country who we have just categorized as acceptable losses. So we want to turn this around, because our mission, and I know it's yours as well, is the promotion of the fact that all human beings are worth something, especially those of us who've served in a uniform. Now, we deserve what we were promised. That's all we want. Well, we look at what these multi-rich national conglomerations, international conglomerations, and the wealthy people who apparently, unlike the good book says, for to whom much is given, nothing is returned. Something's got to be returned. And especially, I think, America owes a debt to veterans. Well, it owes a debt to everybody. Actually, we need to follow. We need to follow the golden rule, but we're not. But basically, that's it in a nutshell, Glynn.
Hey, thank you, man. That's great stuff. I totally get it. So now let's talk a little bit about this community and how you guys ended up here, and what are the plans for serving the people here with both the nonprofit, with the work with the veterans groups, and also with the radio station.
Well, historically, since the 1800s, this town, the economic engine of this town has been the Hotel Jeffrey. It has fallen on hard times in the last couple of decades. When it's up and operating, this town is jumping, this town is booming. This used to be the hot spot for writers and artists and poets and And, and people of that mindset, and musicians, and, painters, and everybody would come here because this was the place to be. When the Jeffrey closed, for a number of reasons, town kind of went dead. So when we moved here over 5 years ago, we were trying to think of, hey, how can we revital this? How can we get this going again? Because this used to be the main drag into Yosemite. Well, once the Jeffrey closed, Mariposa quickly took over, and they diverted everything down there. And according to South County, we really kind of don't exist. We had buses stopping here. This was a regular tourist destination, but not anymore. So until the Jeffrey gets up and running, and even after so, I envision this radio station as promoting the well-being of North County, Mariposa. Because right now, nobody is, and that includes our elected officials. So we want to be the voice of the people. That's what we've been trying to do for the last 5 years. The main thing is through community organizing, we finally gotten everybody to kind of work together. And as you know, that's kind of hard within itself. But what amazes me about this town is we're kind of like every place else in America. We're kind of split 50-50, red, blue. But what makes us unique is we don't talk about that crap. I don't care what your beliefs are. You don't care what mine are. We just work together. You will not see a political office up here, nor do we want one. Your political beliefs are your own, mine are my own, and I think that's basically how we get along. We also have the county's only, I should say, in-house drug and alcohol treatment facility, and unlike anywhere else I've seen in America, we welcome those guys. Those guys are part of our community. Broke my heart when I first came here to find that there was Vietnam veterans still in recovery up there. But they are serving a tremendously needed need that is not being addressed countywide. They don't get the support they deserve. They don't get the support they need. But everybody here kind of works together and looks after each other. Things could be better. But the one thing I like about this, and I think this radio station is going to be a tremendous help, is we're going to bring everybody together. Don't care who you are. Don't care what your beliefs are. We're going to work together and get this community back on its feet. And it's going to be like it kind of was back in the 1849s. And during the gold rush, this place was jumping, and it was the place to be. And I foresee that in my lifetime, and I see the radio station being a big part of it, which is one reason we're so glad that you're here. Because let's face it, I don't have this knowledge and skill that you have. Nobody up here has it. There's no place we can get the training. So it's like great that we finally got somebody here who can kind of give us a kick in the butt.
Well, I'll do my best, man, because for me, coming all the way across the country from D.C., from Maryland, and ultimately from Alabama, as you and I are both from the Birmingham area. But anyway, I just find the town amazing, and I'm really interested in seeing what we can get going here, as opposed to living in a big city like San Francisco or L.A. I like the mountains. I like to be in 30 miles from Yosemite National Park, and so I'm really happy to be here and having these conversations. And we know that some people that don't want anything to happen around here. Seems like, but we think most people will understand that we need to get a few things going on anyway. If we could bring the Hotel Jeffrey back and get the Magnolia Saloon, and kind of work on this idea I've been talking about for the last few days about having a music hall upstairs and maybe doing a live variety internet show around that idea. We might could bring some artists and writers from LA and San Francisco and get the Hotel Jeffrey back.
They used to come here when the Jeffrey was running. They used to come here all the time.
Right, so they'll come back if we give them a place to stay and some entertainment to get involved with. And so that's kind of what we're gonna work on, folks.
Yep.
And
It worked in the past. It can work in the future because it has been done before. We're not reinventing the wheel.
right, so I mean, this place has been a happening place on the map before, not just in the 1800s, but in the 20th century. You know, there was stuff going on here. So
Yeah, but definitely, a lot of people don't know that. Okay, well, some people know that. Yeah, most people know that John Muir was here, and actually, John Muir was in this building, as was Teddy Roosevelt. He also came to this building. But what a lot of people don't know, and when I tell them, they say, "Oh, you're lying. Queen Elizabeth was here." They say, "Well, that's not true." Well, here's how you find out that it is true. You go back and punch up Google. One of the, guards for Queen Elizabeth was killed here in an automobile accident. That's public record. And it states he died during the visit of Queen Elizabeth. She was here. So this is a jumping place which has kind of been overlooked, rewritten, and everything's kind of been shifted down to Mariposa. They'd love you to believe, hey, everything's happening down here. And that's not true.
yeah, and the other thing is kind of a lot of people just coming from the north, from San Francisco, go through the Groveland entrance, through the park. But this is the original John Muir route.
And it is called the John Muir Trail. That's the official state name. This is the John Muir Trail right here.
So excellent. So thank you, sir, for agreeing to do this interview today.
Hey, my pleasure.
And is there anything else I need to ask that I'm not thinking to ask?
Now, the thing is that what I like about this radio station and the vision you have and the vision I have, and it's all basically the same vision, is that we are unique. We are looking after the well-being and best interest of everybody. We're going to cater to your mental well-being. We're going to cater to your physical well-being. We want happy and joyful and drug-free people functioning in society. If you need help, we want to be able to have a program that's going to in some manner positively affect you. And the thing is, that's what we're all about. We're in the people helping business. And the thing is, I have yet to hear of a radio station that does that. Everybody's got like a hidden agenda, we'll help you if you do this. We'll help you if you believe this. That's not us, and that's one reason I feel very positive about what we're doing.
Hey, thank you, man. Let's take another little song break, and we'll be right back.